Continuing broadcast of us all working together around the world to cover the earth with Srila Prabhupada's transcendental books, specifically the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada pointed to the Sherman-Williams Company paint sign that says cover the earth, and it has a can of paint pouring out over the earth planet. And he said that should be our motto. So we have the job to cover the earth with Srimad Bhagavatam for the benefit of every living entity. And as it's said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, pure devotional service rendered to the Supreme Lord is spiritually so potent that simply by hearing about such transcendental service, by chanting its glories in response, by meditating on it, by respectfully and faithfully accepting it, or by praising the devotional service of others, even persons who hate the demigods and all other living beings can be immediately purified. So we're on the ultimate campaign to do good to the world. And the ultimate servitor of Srila Prabhupada, who does good for the world, is His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, who's been the leader of book distribution around the world since he stepped into the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, and exceeds all expectations every single year by enlivening the devotees around him and all over the world. We're so fortunate in this campaign each year that Maharaj comes and gives a blessing, and it's the only way that we can actually move forward with the blessings of the most advanced devotees on the planet. So we're going to start this morning by hearing from His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, and then we have several other speakers who will be coming on today to give us some enlivenment. Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, Mahatma Prabhu, and Rukmini Devi Dasi Prabhu. So Maharaj, we're so grateful and we welcome you to this Bhadra Purnima broadcast. Thank you very much for being with us. Gaur Premanande Haribol.
If you don't mind, I'll just be here for a short time. I just finished a program and I have another program.
Maharaj, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy.
I first want to congratulate and thank Visheshika Prabhu for taking so much effort to promote the distribution of Srimad Bhagavatam sets. Prabhupada at one time had a vision, print the Bhagavatam in 60 volumes, but then we were not able to do it. Prabhupada had the great desire that the Bhagavatam sets should be in every home. You all know how Prabhupada worked hard to print the Bhagavatam. First, Prabhupada printed in India, first canto part 1, then 2, then 3. He was doing 3. When he had finished 2, he needed money to print first canto part 3. And he thought of approaching Srimati Muraji. He finally picked up courage and went to her office. And the secretary said, "Madam is too busy, she has no time." The Prabhupada was determined to see her. The Prabhupada sat down on the staircase of her office building. Because Prabhupada figured she has to go by this way. And so when she was coming down, she saw a sadhu sitting there. So she asked her secretary, "Who is this sadhu?" He said, "He's the same sadhu from Vrindavan. He wants to help you with printing it, Srimad Bhagavatam." So she said, "Okay, come to my house." The next day he went to her house. And she said, "Okay, I'll pay for the next volume." Once Papa printed first canto in 3 volumes, and he prepared to come to America. The Srimad Bhagavatam, as you know, is the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge. And when Vyasadeva approached Narada Muni, Narada Muni said, "He is not exclusively glorified the process of pure devotional service." And then came the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Srimad Bhagavatam has timeless wisdom. And our goal should be praise the Bhagavatam in everyone's home. So this Bhagavatam marathon started 2 years ago due to the efforts of Rajashekha Prabhu and Bhima Prabhu. And gradually it has expanded. And it's not so easy, I must admit. But if we make an effort, then the impossible becomes possible. By Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's efforts, mercy, difficult things become easy. Without his mercy, easy things become difficult. Today we are also celebrating the appearance day of a great Acharya, Thakur Bhaktivinoda. Thakur Bhaktivinoda, as you know, was our pioneer. Prabhupada said he was virtually the founder of the Krishna conscious movement. Thakur Bhaktivinoda has a great vision that he published books in English, Oriya, Bengali, and he also had a vision that Krishna consciousness will be all over the world because Lord Chaitanya had predicted every town and village, the Holy name will be sung. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote a book on the life of Lord Chaitanya, and he sent it to universities around the world. And this was which year? 1896. What is 1896 famous for? For what? The birth year, the year that Prabhupada took birth. The Prabhupada in the purple rites, Bhaktivinoda Thakur sent this book in 1896, the year that I was to appear. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur endeavored to spread Krishna consciousness, and Prabhupada wanted Bhagavatam sets to be placed everywhere. Libraries, schools, hospitals, etc. The devotees have worked very hard, I must say. The devotees really got in a mood. And today is the last day before the tomorrow is the auspicious day of Bhadra Purnima. So I believe we want to remind all of you, I must have made pledges. Please work harder to fulfill these pledges. Nothing is impossible. And we have powerful generals like Rajashekha Prabhu, Bhima, others leading us. So I'm just making a small appeal to all the devotees around the world who are participating in the marathons. And we made pledges. Let's work hard. We realize the pledges. Making pledges is easy. We have to honor these pledges. So we just here to remind all of you. Please don't forget all those pledges. And please try and realize these pledges. We all realize the pledges, and I'm sure we'll reach our target. So thank you very much for inviting me. And I thank Vajrashekha Prabhu for his kind words of welcome. And we hope that all of you will be inspired by this program to work hard to fulfill your pledges. Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Jai.
Our goal should be Bhagavatam in every home. And we try, we may succeed. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Maharaj, we're going to take that to heart. We're going to calculate how many homes there are in the world, and then we're going to make that our goal over the next 20 years. Based
Yeah,
on what you spoke from your lips to the Lord's ears, we're following whatever you say.
we are following you. So anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Just seeing you and hearing you, this has made our Bhadra Purnima desire so intense in these last couple hours that we have. And we're deeply, deeply grateful for you, for all that you do, and for taking your time to come on this call.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Gaur Premanande Haribo. And now we have one of the great leaders of ISKCON who's been teaching devotees about Krishna consciousness since the early days of ISKCON, one of the world leaders in the GBC, a Sankirtan devotee, and who has devotees who are attached to him, who I've never seen such depth of devotion for His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, obviously touching the hearts of millions all over the world, and even with his intense schedule, working with the VBT, managing all the projects, and taking care of so many devotees, he agreed to come on the call today. And we're so blessed, Maharaj, to have you here today, and very eager just to have your association for as long as you can spare. Thank you very much for being here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Vaisheshika Prabhu. Very, very kind of you to invite me. First time I've been invited on one of your programs. I was hoping it would happen. So yeah, it's such a wonderful, wonderful occasion, Bhadra Purnima. You know, the first time I heard about this whole idea of distributing a set or sets, distributing the Bhagavatam placed on a golden throne on Bhadra Purnima. The first time I heard about it was when I was doing a seminar on Srila Jiva Goswami's Tattva Sandarbha. He talks about it there. The Bhagavatam is so valuable and so powerful and just so merciful and so beneficial that if you distribute a Bhagavatam, means a set in our terms, situated on a golden throne on Bhadra Purnima, you go back to Godhead. Yeah. And I read that first time, it was, what was it, about 30 years ago, almost, I think it was 92, 93. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. Jiva Goswami in that Tattva Sandarbha, he emphasizes Srimad Bhagavatam so much. So it's great. It's really wonderful. We already here, where I am right now, we distributed 2 sets today. I mean, it's only 2 sets, but it's 2 better than none. Sets of Bhagavatam. That's nice. Yeah. And of course, it's really like, it's a very special form of book distribution. It's book distribution, which of course was Srila Prabhupada's special innovation in preaching in our Gaudiya Vaishnav Sampradaya. Prabhupada was special in so many ways and did so many revolutionary things, but the most revolutionary thing he did really was to innovate this mass book distribution. Because going back to into the past, Lord Chaitanya's time and just back hundreds of years, if you wanted a Bhagavatam or a Bhagavad Gita, if you wanted a set of Bhagavatam, you couldn't just walk in to the local ISKCON temple and say, hey, I want a set of Bhagavatam, how much is it? And you pay some money, not so much, a lot less than a month's wages, and you walk out some minutes later with your set of Bhagavatam. Sorry, forget that. Back in the old days, you'd have to put in your order and come back, like in a year, and you could pick up your set of Bhagavatam, maybe, something like that. But yeah, Prabhupada, this is Prabhupada's, of the many special contributions he made, this innovation of mass distribution of Shastra. this has got to be the greatest. It really does. And Prabhupada really appreciated it when a lot of books were distributed. I mean, even one book, of course, makes a difference. But when Prabhupada saw that a lot of books were being distributed, Prabhupada said, even though he was an old man, Prabhupada said, I feel like a young man when I get the reports of the book distribution. And I remember I joined in London in 1973, January 1973, and book distribution it had started, but not really got really going yet until maybe the end of 73 or 74, something like that. It really started exploding. But we were doing book distribution in the streets of England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. We would travel. And I was traveling for a few years there. And we had a motto. I think it's a good motto. Listen to this. You may, if you want, you can use it yourselves. This was our motto. Listen, sit down, fasten your seatbelts, and listen to this. All right. Our motto was 100 a day keeps Maya away. That was our motto. And my experience is that it's true. You distribute 100 books in a day and you'll be feeling pretty good. Yeah. 100 a day keeps Maya away. And it's true. I'm sure you've heard there's the old saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So, but this is much deeper and transcendental. And this marathon now for the Bhadra Purnima, trying to distribute, thousands of sets. It's the same principle. Try and distribute a lot of books, really a lot of books. And of course, do it nicely. We don't want to just, push the books down people's throats so they walk away dissatisfied. We really want to do it nicely so that people walk away thinking, yeah, I met a good person and I learned something and I got something nice from this good person. That's quality book distribution that Prabhupada would be so happy if all of our distributors were able to distribute like that. I mean, in one sense, if the people get the book somehow or other, in one sense, the end may justify the means, but the nicer you can do it, the better. Because we want the people to walk away feeling that I've got something nice, I've got something interesting. And then they'll sit down at home and read it and really get benefit. Yeah, so that's our mission in this Krishna consciousness movement. Or you could say it's such an essential part of our mission. Ultimately, it's the main part of the preaching of our mission to distribute many, many books and to do it nicely. So, I remember when I first joined, it was, like I said, it was very early 73. And I hadn't really read Prabhupada's books. I'd read a couple of small books before I joined, and I struggled to really get the idea to understand clearly. But then I moved into the temple in London, and I started reading Bhagavad Gita. And, it was nice, but it was not easy for me to digest, I'll be quite frank. So you know what I did? Somehow or other, I picked up a first canto Srimad Bhagavatam in the temple, and I started reading the first canto Srimad Bhagavatam. I had not finished the Gita yet. And so I started reading the first canto, and I'll be quite frank with you. I found it much easier to understand, much more accessible than the Bhagavad Gita. That was my experience. I don't know if anybody else had a similar experience. I found Bhagavad Gita kind of technical, yoga, this and that, and different types of yoga and different considerations. But I found the Bhagavatam much more accessible, and I just couldn't put it down. And I finished the first canto before I finished Bhagavad Gita. Then I finished Bhagavad Gita, and it was great. It was very nice. But that experience really, I would say, endeared Srimad Bhagavatam to me. And I remember I was distributing in the streets, and Srila Prabhupada gave the instruction, because the Bhagavatam was gradually, one canto after the other was gradually being published, printed and coming out and being sent around the world. And I remember we got the third canto. It may have been 73 or 74, I forget exactly, but we got the third canto, a whole lot of third cantos, part one. And we were thinking, how are we going to distribute these? People are going to see, third canto. What about the first and second? But then we heard a message came out from Prabhupada to the effect that don't worry about it, just distribute it. The people will get the mercy, because Bhagavatam's like that. Wherever you pick it up, you can pick it up anywhere, like any canto, any chapter, at any time, and it'll always be the right thing. It's not like you're going to pick it up and open and feel lost because you didn't read the part before, and therefore now you can't relate to it. No, wherever you open Srimad Bhagavatam, any canto, any chapter, it's always the right place. And you'll always find something to learn. I mean, something to really learn, something that'll help you in just wonderful ways in your Krishna consciousness. And what to speak of having the whole Bhagavatam? It's just completely inconceivable. The mercy, the nectar, is just completely inconceivable and glorious. So this marathon, such a brilliant idea, such a brilliant idea. The people will be benefited. All these conditioned souls wandering around in the material world, they don't know what they're doing or what they should be doing or shouldn't be doing, what's up and what's down. in terms of reality. But then they get a set of Bhagavatam and they're on their way back to Godhead. And it's not just that they're on their way, but it's not just that. The devotees who are distributing, they're on their way too. They're absolutely on their way through distributing Srimad Bhagavatam. On their way back to Godhead, there's just no doubt about it. And you know, when you go back to Godhead, if you distribute lots of Srimad Bhagavatam and you continue like that, then one fine day, one fine morning, you will wake up and you will no longer be in, wherever it is, in America, in India, in Russia, or, I'm in South Africa. You won't be in that place any longer. You'll be in Goloka Vrindavan. And in Goloka Vrindavan, they do book distribution in Goloka Vrindavan. Did you know that? Yeah, you bet they do. Of course they do. But the thing is, in Goloka Vrindavan, everyone takes a book. Everyone. You can just go door to door every day selling sets of Bhagavatam, and every day, everyone will take another set of Srimad Bhagavatam. No kidding. I'm not joking. This is true. It's the spiritual world. There's just no limit. There's just no limit. So anyway, big thank you. Just a huge thank you to His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu. He's just such a dedicated servant of Srila Prabhupada in many ways, and particularly in terms of the book distribution mission. I offer my respects hundreds of times. Sahasra Koti Dandavat Pranam Apko Vaisheshika Prabhu. Seriously. You're doing such a great service. I appreciate it so much. Thanks for inviting me, and all the best to all you devotees. I hope before the Purnima is finished, I hope that you do some more sets. And Srila Prabhupada is watching you all now, and Srila Prabhupada has big smile on his face. And by doing this, let me just close by saying, did you know that Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, they have, each one of them has a little black notebook. Did you note that? Did you know? Did you hear about that? It's true. Each one has a little black notebook. And when you do some really significant service from your heart, and you really try your best, then they write your name in their little black notebook. That's a fact. And when your name is in that little black notebook of Lord Krishna, of Lord Chaitanya, that's it. That's it. Back home, back to Godhead. And this is how you get your name in the little black notebook, through doing this book distribution, Bhagavatam distribution. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj ki jai. Maharaj, you said any canto, any page, it is sublime. Wherever you open, it's always the right place, and you'll always find something to learn. And we find that in you. Wherever we see you in your life, every service amongst the myriad services that you do, we always see you in the right place at the right time, and we always have something to learn from you. In fact, just hearing your voice reminds me of the Holy Dom, because I've listened to your talks about Govardhan so many times. It takes me right there. So it confirmed for me today the saffron mercy particle principle that Prithu Maharaj mentions in the Bhagavatam. We're so very grateful to you for carrying on the parampara and to putting it into our ears and our hearts today. And I'm wondering, Maharaj, since I'm noticing also that Mahatma Prabhu and Rukmini Prabhu are on the call, we have our senior leaders on, could we show you the maps? I just want you to glance at them and see how we're doing right now before you get off. Or, I mean, you could stay as long as you want, but I know you have places to go, but we just wanted you to glance at it and see how the campaign's going. Is that okay?
Please.
And Mahatma and Rukmini Prabhus, if you're there, you can just tune in. Okay, so we'll show you the maps to just give you an idea how the campaign is going. As you might know, the goal is to distribute at least 25,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatams, and we'll just show you by continent where everyone is now, with the explanation that the scores are still pouring in from various places around the world. And in Australia, we have pledges for 228 sets of Bhagavatams, and the actual right now is exceeding. It's at 251. This is like election night, isn't it, everybody? On the edge of your seats. These come in, we report them in real time as soon as we get them, and they're broken down by the cities. And then next we have New Zealand. New Zealand pledges are 94. They have one set to go to hit their goal, but I'm sure they're going to smash it and go past that number. And then we move over to Fiji. Fiji is the leading indicator of the world, just as Iowa tells who's going to win the elections in America. So Fiji started off with a very humble proposition, because they weren't tooled up. They didn't even have sets there. And they started with a goal of doing 2 sets. And then they moved it up to 5. And then they said 9. And then it expanded around Fiji. And now the 29 sets, 30 sets. So this is the way the world's going right now, following Fiji. And next we have Far East. So the pledges are for 6,121. The actuals right now are 4,708. We're quite sure that we'll close that gap. We have Bangladesh at 3,000. They've definitely confirmed they'll hit their goals, as well as you can see here, Japan's on target. Hong Kong has just a couple more to go, a dozen. Thailand already went past. Malaysia, they're really doing a big push in the last minutes. They started off with 200, and then they put it up to 500 because it's really growing there. And the Middle East, such great unsung heroes in the Middle East. They're very organized. They're doing over 1,200 sets, 1,250, already confirmed. And next we move to Europe. Europe pledges are 1,683. And right now the actuals at 775. They're actually coming in as we speak. Our ticker is going up, and we'll be updating those every hour until we get to the Bhadra moment. But you can see by region how everybody's doing there. And by the way, just as a footnote, Europe is coming back to its full glory. They have potential to do 10 times, 100 times more, as we know from the early 80s, and they're going to come back to that very soon. They're on their way, coming up to that level. And then we have India. Their pledges are at 25,479. I think they'll do more than that personally, but they're still coming in, and it's a onerous process counting all of these up and getting them from everybody. That's why we don't have final scores yet, and it doesn't get completely tabulated until the end of tomorrow. And then we have Africa. And if you switch back to India, just take a look at India. Now you see how many dots are on India. Now look at Africa. Our prediction is that Africa is going to look like India sometime soon. We'd like to make a plan so that it has as many dots and numbers for sets of Bhagavatams on the map of Africa. That's our desire. And we want to work with you, Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, you and Govardhan and the team there, Tirumal and Mataji and all the exalted devotees, to bring Africa to #1 spot in the world. That's our main desire. If that's okay, if you would bless us, please do that. Any others? South America, Ki Jai, 540, solid 540. And we have really good leadership over there, so we're very confident of these numbers, 540 sets. And North America, 4,052. And many of the centers that we've contacted have already hit their goals and are going for more. So we're hoping that we can go over that mark. So I don't mean to alarm anybody, but we're doing quite well. And thank you very much, Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, for bringing your glance upon our team. And now that I know that you wanted to be on this show, I feel delinquent in not getting you on sooner. But we'll keep in closer touch with you. And considering your very busy schedule and all your duties, but we need your mercy. So please keep us on your list. Hare Krishna. Gaur Premanande Haribol. Now we're going to the devotee who actually started it all. If you want to know where modern big book distribution came from, we're looking at the leader who's on the call today. Mahatma Prabhu is an unassuming, humble personality, but actually he's the original innovative book distributor and preacher in all realms of preaching. And he actually started the big book distribution revolution up in Canada. He was the first one to take out a traveling Sankirtan party up there, going out into the cold winter and inspiring his team. He was there when the first big book was distributed in ISKCON, and he's never stopped. So we're so fortunate to have you on the program today, Mahatma Prabhu. A dear friend to many and a leader for all around the world by example. So Prabhu, please give us a little nectar and encouragement. Thank you for being here.
Hare Krishna. That's first, I'm going to be freezing a lot because I'm out in the country, so the internet is a bit slow. It's not ecstatic symptoms. I'm actually slow internet, but I am by Sheshika Prabhu. It's more my honor to be with all of you than anything I can contribute. I'm always appreciating everything you're doing with book distribution and those maps. I thought I was like on CNN or something. It's like I always appreciate that how you utilize technology, cutting edge. So I'm not exactly sure what to say because probably everything has been said, but I'll maybe try to say some things that I think maybe you wouldn't know because they happened to me. So did you hear that when Prabhupada, someone said to Prabhupada, oh, you went to America? And he said, no. They said something like, you went to America and you brought Srimad Bhagavatam with you. He said, no, Srimad Bhagavatam went to America and I went with them. You know that quote? Yeah. So that's interesting. Anyway, I want to tell a story about the Krishna book. So I first came to ISKCON around this time in 1969. So it was 52 years ago. And at that time, there was Bhagavad Gita, there was Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, and there's the first canto of Bhagavatam. I had read Bhagavad Gita. We had classes in Bhagavad Gita morning and evening. So nobody really read Bhagavatam. Bhakta Howard later became Hridayananda Maharaj. He read Bhagavatam, but we thought that was like way above our heads, esoteric. We didn't have a brain for it. So we didn't know much about Krishna and we all became devotees. We knew he spoke Bhagavad Gita and what he said, but what he did, we didn't really know. We heard a few stories here and there. So in August, the Krishna book came out, which of course, as you know, is the 10th canto. And so now we're were hearing about Krishna. And I was like a little boy overwhelmed in a toy store. And I had the fortune of being a temple president, even though I was very young, and we had to write Prabhupada every month. So, here's the report. We did this and this, and then I could, say whatever I wanted because I was writing. So why not? So I was reading Krishna book and I had this epiphany, which you'll think is kind of like, duh. So I had this epiphany, which was nobody knows who God is. I'm reading that God does this and he, steals butter because stolen butter tastes better than butter from his mother. And he's got girlfriends, but everyone's actually his. So they're not really other men's wives. They're his wives. And I was actually overwhelmed. And I was thinking to myself, like I was raised Jewish, ask a Jewish person who's God. I'm like, I don't know, like supreme something. That's about it. So then I'm reading what Krishna's doing, and I'm like this little kid, like, I'm so excited. And I write Prabhupada and I said, nobody knows who God is, only we do. And Prabhupada writes back, that is a fact. Only we know who is God, So sometime later, and this book should come out. I don't know if you know this by Sheshika, but Rameshwar Prabhu wanted to do a book, and he gave it the working title was The God Book. Jesus came down, Jesus is God, Christianity spread around the world. We have to tell people God actually came down, not the Son. He was here. So it was kind of like that moment, like, nobody knows who God is and the whole world's enamored with Jesus, but he's not even God, and God came and nobody even knows it. And if you try to explain it, they'll say, no, he's impersonal or this or that. So it was that kind of excitement that I wrote Prabhupada, and Prabhupada just went right with it. He just agreed with me. Yes, nobody knows, only us. So I think that's such an exciting meditation, We're giving a book about God and what he does and the intimate details. And not only that, our books don't even not only show what God does, they show God's heart, how he feels. Like, ask a Christian, how do you think God feels about the fact that you went to McDonald's today? Like, what are you talking about? God feels, really, really empathizing with how Krishna feels. And when he leaves Vrindavan and can't repay the gopis, all these emotions, like, who's heard of this stuff? This is like incredible, isn't it? Amazing. So that was one story I wanted to tell. And another story I wanted to tell was, and by Sheshika Prabhu, I'm sure you'll have the same experience, but I spent a lot of years in LA, and LA was, that's where the paintings were done. The BBT moved there. The BBT warehouse was there. Rameshwar, the incarnation of go out on Sankirtan, he was there. It was, Tripurari, that's where it all started, So the mood in Los Angeles, and maybe this was the mood in San Francisco also, but especially there, is like everybody wanted to have something to do with book distribution. So if you or like a super introvert or whatever, you couldn't go out, then you would like, well, can I cook for the Sankirtan devotees? Or can I load the Sankirtan van? Or could I be a Sankirtan leader or an assistant? Could I organize? And then the BBT was there, could I work on the books? Could I do something, Could I take the photos of the paintings, Did you have that mood in San Francisco? Because we definitely had that mood in LA.
Yes.
It was like everybody wanted to be connected somehow. Or, not everybody was like, able to go out and distribute books all the time. And some people wanted to do books, but they were like really good managers and they needed to manage, and they suffered. I think Savas suffered a lot managing. He'd rather be at the airport, isn't it? That's where he felt probably more at home at the airport than in his office. So some people had to manage, but so when, you asked me to do this, I felt kind of like that, like, wow, I get to talk about book distribution. Like I've never, ever refused ever if anyone has asked me to talk about it, because it's just like that. We can do something for book distribution. And we were so fanatical. I don't know if this was true in San Francisco. We were so fanatical that if someone gave the best Bhagavatam class ever, if they didn't talk about book distribution, the book distributors would say, that class was useless. He didn't talk about book distribution. Isn't it? You remember that? I was like, you were graded on your Bhagavatam class by how many times you mentioned book distribution. And if you didn't, it was like, that was a useless class, wasn't it? So, so I was just thinking, when you asked me to talk, I was just thinking, just to talk about the privilege of being able to in any way be engaged in serving the BBT and serving Prabhupada in any way to get his books in the hands of people. That's why we all wanted to do it, because we knew that was Prabhupada's heart. We knew that would please him, and we knew we would make advancement. That was like, what more could you do? I'm not an introvert, I'm not an extrovert, but I definitely can be an introvert. I mean, I can hide and be alone like for days, no problem. And I mean, I go crazy. I like to be with people, but it wasn't like going on Sankirtan was like, yeah, let's get out there. Where are you coming in from? I was like, I did it, but it's not like natural, So sometimes it was like, and all the other devotees around me, like just books flying left and right, and I'd get a big donation from somebody, and then a book distributor would come up to me and go, I would have got 10 times more from him if I talked to him. I'm like, thanks. So sometimes it was hard, but it was always blissful. And in certain years, we had difficulty in the airport I was in distributing books, and we were being harassed. So much so that a lot of devotees would just have to stop, and the ladies would stop and cry for like 20 minutes. It was so difficult. But at the same time, everybody felt, but we're connected. We're so connected with Prabhupada. We wouldn't want to do anything else, even though it's difficult. I can tell you how many times I got arrested on Sankirtan. This little innocent Jewish boy, now he's in jail like, once a year, And it was like, okay, whatever, we'll go to jail, if that's what it takes. We were happy to do it because it was for Prabhupada. So that was my meditation. Just, being somehow or other connected with this mission that you're all doing now, and any other book distribution you do in the future. I just think it's such an impetus to feel like I'm connected with Prabhupada's heart. And the last thing I would say is, and we all know this, what's the secret of success in bhakti? Please the pure devotee. You please the pure devotee, you're in. You're in the front door, you're in the back door, the side door, some door, you're in. You're going to get in because the pure devotee is going to be there when you get up there, and they go, who's this guy? And you go, I'm with Bhaktivedanta Swami. Okay, let him in. I'm a book distributor. Okay, let him in. So that's the mood. And so many times also, when a devotee, like they would try and they wouldn't do so well, and Prabhupada would just be like, you tried, you're amazing. So, it's all about trying, it's like, don't get any result if you don't try. But if you try and do nothing, at least you get that benefit. And Prabhupada, when he came to America, he said, I don't know if I'll be successful, but at least I came. At least let me try, So that's what I wanted to say. Hare Krishna.
Mahatma Prabhu, we're deeply grateful. Are you still there?
Thank you. I'm here. Yeah. I'm just.
Yeah. I resonated with the last, with all the points, and I'll mention a couple of them, but just about trying. We had contacted the devotees in Hong Kong about a month and a half ago, and when we made them aware of Bhadra, they said, well, we're not really ready for it, or we're not sure if we can do anything. And then they pledged to start off with 5 sets for Hong Kong. But then they got back to us a little later and said, no, we're going to do 10. And then they said, we're going to do 25. And just now we got information that they're up to 62. And I
Wow.
really appreciated your point about, just trying and getting involved. I also really liked your remembrance of the mood of everyone wanted to have something to do with book distribution, how really that was coming down from Prabhupada. And you got several people commenting about when you said about how our books tell you how God feels. That's so profound. And I also resonated with what you said about we will go to jail if that's what it takes. It really epitomizes the mood of any successful movement. If the devotees are willing to sacrifice themselves for their cause, then there's no way that it can be stopped. And I think that's the mood that people wanted to join this movement in, and you've epitomized that from the very beginning. And that's why we wanted to have a look at you and to just have you on here.
Can I say one more thing about the Hong Kong? Because you mentioned our initial, how we first distributed big books. And it was simply this idea that why don't we take some Krishna books out with us, And the idea was no one will take them, but maybe somebody will. Like we were convinced no one would take them. But the back of our mind, we're like, but you never know. And so we went out on Thanksgiving and we went house to house. And, we just had fun showing people this book. Look at this book. This is God, right there on the cover. That's God. Oh, really? Yeah. And show the pictures. We were just having fun. And after an hour of going door to door, we all came back to the van and the devotee said, guess what happened? I sold one. And we couldn't believe it. And we were hitting the sides of the van. We're like, oh, it's possible. And that was the beginning of, hey, it's fun to do the impossible. It's not fun to do the possible. It's fun to do the impossible. So,
well, we got a motto from Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, and I think we'll take that one from you. It's fun to do the impossible. Shamini, write that one down. We need a tattoo for that. That's fantastic. Mahatma Prabhu, you're living proof of that, how you're making the impossible possible because of your faith in Prabhupada. And we're so grateful for you walking the earth and going everywhere and setting the example. And thank you very much for giving us your valuable time and association today.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. And now we're moving to Her Grace Rukmini Devi Prabhu, who's one of the original founders of the Krishna Conscious Movement, there from the very, very beginning with Prabhupada, and now moving all over the planet, preaching, sitting on boards, managing projects, giving her sage advice everywhere. We're so grateful for you taking the time to come on here and just give us some encouragement. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Vaisheshika Prabhu. I was in India at that time when all of those first days of book distribution were starting. So I was a little bit in another world and oblivious to what was going on and what you were all sparking there. But so beautiful to hear about this from Mahatma Prabhu, and so inspiring. So I have to say that I really take the dust of the feet of all of you and I just place it on my head. And all of you are working so diligently and so lovingly and so intentionally to bless the people of the world with these amazing 25,000 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam for this holy Bhadra Purnima. And, all of you who give this precious gift will be blessed, and all of those who receive this really most sacred gift will also be so blessed. There was one scholar who said something interesting. I was reminded of this by Mahatma Prabhu. He said, the question is not whether God exists, but the question is really, is he available? And God exists and is available and is personified in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. And you're giving the people of the world this rare opportunity to just turn the whole trajectory of their lives from really who knows what destination. We can't even imagine, what our destination would have been, what their destination would have been, but changing the whole trajectory to the direction of the spiritual world toward Goloka. Vrindavan. So thank you so much. And, this is really, truly an example of the greatest altruism, giving people a gift that comes directly from the heart of Srila Prabhupada. The one and only precious cargo that he carried with him on the ship Jaladuta. So you're gifting them with Krishna himself in the form of the book Bhagavat and the precious gift of the person Bhagavat as well in this precious gift of Srila Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta purports, which are his emotional ecstasies. So how very blessed you'll all be by Srila Prabhupada. It's unimaginable, isn't it? We can't even imagine how very grateful he'll be to all of you. And you're demonstrating your gratitude to him by carrying his treasured, precious cargo around and around the world, back across the 7 oceans and 7 seas that he traveled, undergoing so many hardships on our behalf. Lord Sri Krishna and Srila Prabhupada will be blessing you and blessing all of those people who receive these books as well. How will they be blessing them? By so kindly appearing in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, so yesterday was the appearance day of our Param Guru, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And I was thinking, what was his mood in sharing Krishna consciousness? He said, when will there be an awakening in me of compassion for all fallen souls? And when will this Bhakti Vinod, forgetting his own happiness with a meek heart, set out to propagate by humble entreaty the sacred order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? So please do this very holy work with all the humility at your command, so that all the receivers of Srimad Bhagavatam will see you and be inspired toward a change of heart to become just like you, empowered emissaries who consider themselves to be only just tiny instruments of the sacred mission of Lord Chaitanya. I was also reminded by Mahatma Prabhu of one story, and I don't know if you've heard this already today or heard this ever before, but in those days in Los Angeles, Rameshwar Prabhu was being criticized by other devotees because he was walking around advertising and saying that book distribution is in the mood of the gopis. So what a preposterous thing to say. And many devotees were criticizing him for that. I don't know if you've heard this story before. But then, so someone wrote, or maybe he wrote, can't remember, but someone wrote to Srila Prabhupada and asked Srila Prabhupada, is this true? Rameshwar is saying this most preposterous thing. And Srila Prabhupada confirmed that yes, book distribution is in the mood of the gopis. Because what is the mood of the gopis? The mood of the gopis is to say, Radharani's mood, what's her mood? This devotee is better than me. Please, Krishna, even if Prabhupada says, even if he's a rascal number 1, please accept him. He's better than me. Please accept this devotee. So this book distribution of carrying Krishna himself on our heads and sharing with the world and giving it to others. This is the mood of Radharani. This is the mood of the gopis. So how beautiful is that? So thank you so much for all that you're doing, all of you. I just wanted to close these thoughts with 5 prayers to Srimad Bhagavatam that were spoken by Srila Sanatana Goswami in his Krishna Lila Stava. So I'd like to share that with you right now. He says, these prayers are really ecstatic, actually. He's almost like overwhelmed in ecstatic praise of Srimad Bhagavatam. So let me just share this with you. He says, oh, Srimad Bhagavatam, oh, nectar. Srimad Bhagavatam is nectar, right? Oh, nectar churned from the ocean of all the Vedic scriptures. Oh, most prominent transcendental fruit of all the Vedas. It's the fruit of all the Vedas, right? Oh, you who are enriched with the jewels of all spiritual philosophical conclusions. Srimad Bhagavatam is the jewels, right? O you who grant spiritual vision to all people of the world, O life breath of the Vaishnava devotees, O Lord, you are the sun who has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. You are actually Krishna who has returned among us. Then he says, O Srimad Bhagavatam, I offer respectful obeisances unto you. By reading you, one attains transcendental bliss, for your syllables rain. Srimad Bhagavatam is like pure rain, right? Your syllables rain pure love of God upon the reader. You are always to be served by everyone, for you are an incarnation of Krishna. Then he says, O Srimad Bhagavatam, I love this. This is my favorite verse. This one is my most favorite one. He says, Oh, Srimad Bhagavatam. It's like a lover calling out to a lover, actually. He says, oh, my only friend, oh, my companion, oh, my teacher, oh, my great wealth, oh, my deliverer, oh, my good fortune, oh, my bliss. I offer respectful obeisances unto you. And he says, O Srimad Bhagavatam, O giver of saintliness to the unsaintly. That's what you're all doing, right? Giving saintliness to the unsaintly. How amazing is that? O uplifter of the very fallen, please do not ever leave me. Please become manifested upon my heart and my throat, accompanied by pure love of Krishna. So these are a few thoughts. All my prayers to you, all my prayers to all of your lotus feet in doing this sacred work of Srila Prabhupada's mission, Lord Chaitanya's mission. Thank you so, so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear Rukmini Devi Ki Jai. Thank you for reminding us of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's mood, bringing in the mercy of the acharyas, and also Prabhupada's profound statement responding to the clarifying question about the mood of the gopis, and that Sankirtan is that mood. We can feel it, but having confirmation for that is extremely important. Thank you. It was helpful historical context. And also these 5 prayers from Sanatana Goswami. What a brilliant introduction from our acharyas about the importance of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And lastly, thank you for exemplifying the Bhagavatam and moving about the world only for the purpose of giving people faith in the Bhagavatam and the lifestyle that goes along with it. You are the living, walking example. Hare Krishna. Gaur Premanande Haribol. And now we're going to have some updates from starting with Africa. So we have one of our stalwarts on the global team, Tirumala Devidasi, coming in from Africa to give us an update of what's happening there. Please tell us how we are faring towards our goal. I think you're on mute, Tirumala. Anukul Seva Prabhu, is she locked out?
Yes, Maharaj, I think she is just frozen. Maybe we can come back to her.
Okay, we'll come back. So next we have Anutama from Canada. Tell us how it's going in Canada, Anutama Prabhu. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. In Canada, as I promised, we'll be sprinting to the finish, and sprint we did. We are almost there at our goal of 300 Srimad Bhagavatam sets. We have had a lot of success with Gram Vidya Dan of donating books from Canada to India for villages, and I'm confident that by tomorrow end of day we would have passed 300 Srimad Bhagavatam sets.
That is music to our ears, Prabhu. Thank you very much for your calm disposition as we come towards towards the goal. Thank you for methodically bringing the whole country closer and hitting it. And now let's see if we got Tirumala Mataji back from Africa. Any luck on that, Anukul Seva?
Yes,
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna.
Oh, yes, there she is. Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming.
Sorry, my laptop just froze at that time. So at the moment, our total for Africa now stands at 106 sets. The breakdown by country is that Mauritius has distributed 55 sets, South Africa now at 45 sets, and Zambia has done 6 sets. So I just want to mention that this is the first time that Zambia has participated in the campaign, and they have successfully met their target of 6 Srimad Bhagavatam sets. And Mauritius, so the Phoenix Temple has distributed 20 sets so far, and the Vedic Farm has exceeded their goal of 24. They have distributed 35 sets. And yeah, in South Africa, we've done a total of 45. We did 10 today, so we're trying to push as much as we can with what's left, the time.
So how close are you to your overall goal for the whole continent?
I think, well, so at the moment, our goal was actually 200 for South Africa. So that's been reduced now. So, I mean, in terms of the revised goal, we've exceeded that.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. We're going to, at the end of this of these reports, we're going to have Malini Devi Dasi, who is an expert at comebacks. She knows how to, if you have a gap, she's going to tell you how to fill it in the last minute. Okay? So anybody who wants to, they can re-revise their goal upward again and then have a little anxiety in the last day, and she'll tell you how to hit it without fail. Thank you so much, Tirumala Devi Dasi. We're so happy to have you on here and working towards making the Africa map look just like the India one or better. That's our goal over the next 5 years. Okay, Nandini Kishori is going to give us an update on North America. Please tell us how we're looking over here. And if there's any gaps, then we're going to have Malini come in and tell us how to fill them.
Hare Krishna, Dandavats. All devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. Vaisheshika Maharaj, it's a pleasure to see you. No matter what is happening in your life, just seeing Vaisheshika Prabhu can enlighten the entire family, entire city, and now entire planet Earth. It's just so amazing that you have, first you gave ISV a single focused goal. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kuranandana, like that, just single-minded determination. And ISV has done 2,000 sets, and that's the biggest success of this. And there's one mouth cannot glorify enough what you have all accomplished. Corporate Gita program, they did 500 sets. Grama Vidya, setting the villages on this, giving them the blazing knowledge from the scriptures where they really need it, and really changing the whole face of the village and giving them empowerment with this Vedic knowledge. More than 500 villages have been given Srimad Bhagavatam sets. And now every center in US can participate because of setting up the trade agreements and really working diligently on this, and with complete, not having any ego that my temple needs this core or your temple. It's just, it's really bringing the team together. It feels like Krishna's Govardhan Puja has come 2 months in advance. With this Bhadra Purnima, you have united everybody, every single soul, like-minded soul. Going back to ISV, and Motel Gita program really did great this year. More than 200 Srimad Bhagavatam sets have been placed at non-ISKCON Hindu temples across the USA, with the able guidance of Mayapur Bihari Prabhu and Malini Mataji and Shri Krishna Purushottam Prabhu. I really want to thank you from ISV. Then comes the, really want to highlight ISKCON of Tampa temple here. It's a very small temple, just handful of initiated devotees. But 5 years they have been reading Srimad Bhagavatam every day for 1 hour in the night. This is actually more commitment. Think about it. This is more commitment than one gives in marriage sometimes. You know, how many times you see husband and wife spending 1 hour of quality time discussing. And, you know, this is philosophy of life. This is our center of life. And this is really nourishing each other with Srimad Bhagavatam realization and scrutinizing the studying. And that pays off. And they have smashed their goals of 25 sets. And in addition, there are 200 kids that go to their Gita reading classes, and their parents are, most of their parents are not interested in anything to do with bhakti or Krishna consciousness or Vedic scripture reading. And now they are cultivating the kids, and the kids are making sure that the parents are getting Srimad Bhagavatam classes. And that's really amazing. And the third thing I would like to highlight from the entire US, which is our goal is 5,000. Our centers are many more combined than the rest of the world, except India. So it's very hard to choose, but is to set the goal wisely. I would like to highlight this. To set the goal wisely, you know, Hanuman, he became smaller than the smallest when he had to cross this obstacle. And so if the calamities come, if you're hit by COVID, your temple has some other issues, then to adjust the goal in intelligent fashion and move on is also very important. Some other highlights have been ISKCON Boston, ISKCON Laguna Beach, Vedavit Prabhu continues to be extremely diligent and enthusiastic and full of determination. Damodar Kumar Prabhu did so many retreats. And I can really go on and on. Small centers like Rochester did great. Naperville Center did great. South Florida Temple, very handful of devotees. More than 33 sets have been distributed. And we have come together, shared the videos, shared the WhatsApp messages. And it's really the spirit, use the social media very wisely. And it feels like, you know, Hare Krishna movement is rebranding itself. It just feels like the days of when the Beatles joined Hare Krishna. And Vaisheshika Prabhu, I don't know how to glorify you. I don't have enough word or intelligence. And all the leaders, you brought them together, and their purity and their strength and their encouragement and their guidance. And it has really helped us. And we are so grateful to be part of this historical moment to spread Krishna consciousness across the universe. Thank you so much.
Jai, Nandini Kishori, thank you very much for giving us an overview of what's going on in North America. And now for a few minutes, we have Malini Devidasi, who has led multiple comebacks here at ISV, because oftentimes we set goals that we're not sure how we're going to make. And when we come to that point, then we call on Malini and SKP to work together to make up the gap. And so why don't you tell us in very practical terms, what are some of the things the devotees can do in the last 24 hours? Because we do, it's like 16 rounds. You have to finish it in one day. And that's your goal. Once your goal is there, that's it. If you say 16 rounds and you don't chant them, then you have to make them up the next day. But we still count it at 16 for that day. So tell us, Malini, what can we do to close the gap?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. My Dandavat obeisances to you and all the devotees on the call. Prabhu, as you said, when we set the goal as 2,000 Bhagavatams, till just last week, it felt impossible. But the one thing that really worked here is the Gram Vidyadan. I think we can show a video of it maybe soon. But the Gram Vidyadan program was such that you can sponsor for a village in India and in your local languages. And when we initially started rolling out, devotees started sponsoring for their village in their state. So we got villages in Gujarat, Maharashtra, and then when they saw devotees sponsoring for each state, everybody felt that their state was left out. So they started sponsoring for those villages. So that was really successful. And we did more than 500 plus villages because of this video that you will see that His Case Vaisheshika Prabhu spoke about. That was good. Second thing was also that devotees made videos of children sharing their realizations of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we got more than 40 Bhagavatam sets distributed just by those videos. We can share that one as well with you. And we were out of Srimad Bhagavatam sets, the 18 volume one. So we started distributing the 44 volume one. And we were wondering door to door, how will we do it? And yesterday we went door to door and we distributed a Bhagavatam set. And we told that we now have a very special edition of Kids Bhagavatam set. And they initially said no, but when they heard that it is a special edition of Kids Bhagavatam set, they immediately took the Bhagavatam. And after we gave them the Bhagavatam, they were saying that, where is the adults version? I want the adults version too. I want the kids and the adults version. So I think that people are liking this so much. And just door to door, we distributed more than 200 plus Srimad Bhagavatam sets everywhere. And in corporates, the devotees actually, they made it available. They just said, anybody who is interested in reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we have a copy for you. And when we made this available in all the corporates, they sent an email like that. And people started coming and saying, I want to read Bhagavatam. And they took the Bhagavatam set. And after taking the Bhagavatam set, we requested, would you like to make a donation for this one? And everybody wanted to make a donation, not just 250. They're making more and more donation, but just making it available everywhere in all the places. We see that the Bhagavatam is distributing itself. And a week ago, we were not in this situation, but by trying different avenues, we felt that just by trying, Krishna is giving us facility to distribute more and more sets. So we still have 2 more days. We are still trying. And devotees are sharing about this Gram Vidyadhan on their Facebook pages, Instagram, and WhatsApp messages. And we are getting messages from all over the world saying that, how can I contribute for this one? So please try in one of these strategies. And if you need any further help, we are here to help you. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Molly. We have 36 hours to go. Anyone can do anything in 36 hours. It's altogether possible. So try these different methods. And as a principle, assume that it can be done. Start from there, assume that it can be done, and then work backwards and just try everything. Lord Chaitanya will make up for it. We're just instruments. He wants it done. He'll do it through us. Just know that it can be done. Don't assume that it can't. Assume that it can be done. Now let's show the Gram Vidyadham really quick. This is an example of an innovation through which a lot of Bhagavatams have gone out. And it gives you an idea of what Malini's talking about in innovation. And we'll show a couple things after this. It's my great pleasure to introduce you to Gram Vidyadham, a way to preserve the great wealth and legacy of India. What is the great wealth of India? It's knowledge, Sanatan Dharma, knowledge of our higher self, our eternal identity, and our relationship to the Supreme. When that's forgotten, all is lost. No technology, science, or material resources can make up for the loss of Sanatan Dharma. And the knowledge has to be distributed to people all over India and the world. This is India's great gift to the world, but charity begins at home. Villages all over India, which are the mainstay of its culture, are being lost to other ideologies. Now, through Gram Vidyadham, we are placing Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Shri Ishopanishad, and Ramayana within these villages, painstakingly going from one to the next and making sure that they go into the Panchayat centers and that there are educational programs for everyone in the village. The result, people are coming alive. They're remembering their culture. They're so happy to read these books. They feel a purpose in life again. Please help us. We are doing this program by the thousands and now tens of thousands. Let's work together. If you donate $200, you will support one village with Vedic knowledge and a teacher who will help to disseminate it to the people in the village so they can support themselves. Thank you very much for helping. Hare Krishna. So this is an example of a way that we've reached out to a certain population, and it's been very successful. You can use this video also. We'll get it out to you so that you can employ it in your own ways. And what else, Shamahini? Go ahead.
Krishna
Tell
Prabhu,
about the yajna.
perhaps we can just announce about the yajna that is
Yes.
happening tonight and tomorrow evening.
Please tell us.
Okay. So today evening is going to be the Bhadra Purnima day in India. So there is a big yajna that is happening at Naimisharanya to start off the celebrations. And we will also conclude with the celebration tomorrow evening at the end of Bhadra Purnima in North America.
You can
And
tell
it's a-
there's a Bhadra Purnima marathon going on over there. Go ahead.
Yes, so tomorrow evening as well, there is going to be a ceremony at Naimisharanya, the actual place where the Bhagavatam was spoken. The names of all the participants of the Bhadra Purnima campaign will be offered in this yajna and the ceremony that will take place tomorrow as well. The names will also scroll through the broadcast. The broadcast will be available on the Hare Krishna TV and the Facebook channels for the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust.
Okay, that starts tonight, 7 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and it'll be broadcast 2 days, today and tomorrow. Because of popular demand, we had to expand the yajna to 2 days rather than one. We have a couple minutes left. Let's just see if there's any questions. Upananda Prabhu, go ahead. Anukul Seva Prabhu, he's locked in, I think. Anybody who's not locked in, you can ask a question. Is it possible to target specific villages or regions underground Vidyadham? Yes. Bhagavatam is you can target it anywhere in the world and it'll have an effect. Bhagavatam says, Kirata hunanda pulinda pulkasha virashumba yavana kasadaya yene chapapa yarapashraya shraya shudyanti tasmai pravishnave nama. It names all these different village type of people everywhere around the world. And every one of them will be affected by the Bhagavatam, so feel free to target away. Anukul Seva, are we going to get Upananda's question or not?
Maharaj, I've asked Upananda Prabhu to unmute, but I'm not getting any response from him.
Is it possible, 18-volume Srimad Bhagavatam ETA? Yeah. Okay, so we have a brand new, very beautiful set coming from Germany to North America very soon. And you can expect. I also want to mention that don't worry if you don't have any books, you can still sell them. In the early days of the library party, the devotees were selling books that weren't even written yet. They sold standing orders. Anything by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, people would sign up for it. The professors, through the acquisitions librarian, they would be on order and they would get them, just as Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj described getting different cantos at different times and distributing them. So similarly, now, even if you don't have books, that's not a limiting factor. You don't need to have the book in your hand to distribute it. And I got a letter from Janananda Swami just yesterday, and he said Bless their hearts, all of them there in France. They're making a huge comeback. They've distributed 140 sets plus Srimad Bhagavatam, but they don't even have any Bhagavatams in French right now. They're still being printed. So they just tell them about the Bhagavatam and the people buy it. And they'll deliver it when it's printed, which will hopefully be soon, but don't worry. There's no impediment at all to distributing Bhagavatam sets. All you have to do is go out and try, and everything good will happen. How can we arrange a Bhagavatam set to be donated to a certain village in India? How? Okay, why don't you get in touch, Shamahini, with Sankirtan Dasi? And
Yes.
Yeah. If the price of Bhagavatam is set at $350, it's hard to distribute. Can we reduce it? It's not so hard. You just present it the way it is. Whatever the price is irrelevant. It's more in the presentation, how you make it. But it's always possible to adjust prices if you want to subsidize, and it depends on the area you're in. But don't think that it's a lot. That even if you had to pay thousands of dollars for one Bhagavatam set, it's insignificant. But if you bring that mood that it's an insignificant price to people, $350 only, then they'll take it, and they'll understand that. Dear devotees, we're in this together. And do you have a point that you'd like to make, Prema? Or are you just exclaiming? Yeah. So this is happening. We're working together. We're doing what Lord Chaitanya wanted us to do, to go to every town and village. Every town and village means every language in every book. It also means Samyak Kirtan, working together. Everyone can do his or her part to help in this. At the very least, you can be an advocate. Advocation is very powerful. All you have to say is, this is a good idea. Everyone try saying that. This is a good idea. So, of course, you're already doing it, but any leader around the world or anybody who's watching could be a bystander and then increase their service by saying, yes, a good idea, go for it. And everyone who wants to get in that little black book that Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj talked about, then just put yourself out. Death is going to put us out anyway at some point. Might as well put ourselves out early and volunteer for a little austerity, like our leader Patita Tarna Jagannath Prabhu, one of the great world leaders. You can see his smiling countenance there. Because he's doing the austerity, you can see the effulgence that comes. So effulgence has only come through doing yajna. And this is the best yajna on the planet. It's exactly following what Srila Prabhupada did, bringing Bhagavatams in the front and stocking them up and assuming that they're all going to go out and that a movement's going to start around the Bhagavatam. That's what Prabhupada did. That's the history. It's written in the book already on the Jaladuta diary. So, dear devotees, let's take advantage of those last 36 hours. Close the gaps. Try for it. Anyway, don't think that the 36 hours we can't do huge. And we'll circle around in a couple of weeks after all the dust settles and all our Bhadra scores are counted, and we'll celebrate together. And then we'll also have a retrospective of what we're going to do next. Okay? Everybody in? Okay, dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, dear Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Radha Govinda, Shri Radha Gopinath, Shri Lakshmi Nrsingadev, if you so desire, please empower us, our World Sankirtan team, to work together in service to Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya, to inundate the entire planet with Srimad Bhagavatams and all of Srila Prabhupada's books like it's never been done in the history of the universe. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone who agrees with this prayer in part or in whole, please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Kripa
Hare Krishna.
Sindhi.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.